Wagwan!
Que lo que, mi gente?
Welcome to the
Message to You podcast,
where we casually have
not so casual conversations
on topics that force us to keep it real
with ourselves and those we are around.
Our mission is to shed light on
The importance of embracing your true self,
being okay with acknowledging quirks,
workable flaws, and accomplishments.
So if you're into business,
all things creative,
personal growth, and life hacks,
then you're in the right place. Let's go.
Let's get it.
Welcome to
the Message to You podcast.
Okay. We're gonna try that over.
This is about take 7. Let's
So
go.
how are we doing this? We could just say welcome to the Message to You podcast.
Okay, cool.
Together?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's
1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Message to You podcast. What is a podcast?
Gotta hit up my roots.
Right. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Jen.
I'm Phillisha.
Great to meet you guys. No, so we are so excited because this is our first episode in this podcast, and yeah, like
it's been a long time coming.
It has been. This has been in the works for months,
probably years.
Maybe years.
Yeah, definitely years. And this is definitely take like 8. So,
if that.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
So before we start though, we just gonna do a quick vibe check. Obviously. We're gonna play some music, vibe out real quick. Nothing too long. Let me see. What we feeling like?
Let's go with that last one. It's a little vibey.
Also, we got some tea here.
Jen almost drank all of her tea during setup, so I'll probably be sipping alone for the most part.
No, I have a good amount.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is just a little something to expect when you hop onto our episodes. A little vibe check, little tea, little talk. We're always going to have a message to you, so listen up. My tea is definitely lukewarm at this point, but
I've been screaming inside my head.
All right, we should get to business, huh?
Right.
All right. Wait, so I guess we should talk about what kind of tea do you have in your cup today, girl?
Ooh, okay. So I'm thinking this is a honey vanilla chamomile with a splash of oat milk creamer.
It's giving that.
Specifically from Target, if you were wondering.
Specifically.
What kind of creamer this was. It is slapping, especially at this hour. It's 10:17 p.m. in case you wanted to know. EST, or is it ET now? Doesn't matter.
I don't know. I can't keep up with that. I'm still trying to wrap my head around daylight savings. Let's just say that. Yeah, but let's not talk about that because I'm gonna get
there's so many people
frustrated.
Who only now realize that even happens.
What?
Like my cousin went most of her life not knowing that it was a thing.
Where does she live?
In a whole nother country.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, she don't live here. Okay, yes. So we should just get into it, right?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
So first things first, I guess we could go over like, who are we? Like, who are you?
Who is you?
What are you about?
What you doing? Why you here?
Where you from? Where your grandma stay?
Stop. Where your daddy stay? Is that how it goes?
No.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
pretty sure.
All right, cool. Anyways, so who am I? So my name is Jen. As I mentioned, I'm 26 years old. I am an artist. I make music. I like to dibble in producing music as well as DJing when I can. That's just something I want to get a little more into. I love to write. I love a lot of forms of art, like, it's so hard to just put my finger on it, but yeah, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in speech language pathology, and what else? I do not like this like question, like who are you? Like
Ever.
tell me about yourself.
Ever. Like, what does that mean?
I like the
There's-
color blue, but like orange has grown on me.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like
Right.
what do you want to know? Yeah, I guess, something else will come up if I think of it. So,
Right.
and you?
On our journey.
Who's this
through
person
the
sitting next
podcast.
to me?
My name is Phillisha. Some people call me Phil. I'm also a creative. I draw, I paint. I'm into photography. I also write. Some of my crafts I have abandoned, but we are on the journey of getting back to that,
I feel that.
right? I have a background in psychology, and then I also have my master's in clinical art therapy and counseling.
It's the masters for me. Let me just say that. Clap. You know what? Round of applause.
Cut it out.
Because a lot of people can't say that. So kudos to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Did I leave anything out? I don't know. I think I'll stick with that right now. I'll say I'm overall like a creative, a visionary. I love to like just plan. I like to put my ideas, bring them to life, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll find out more on our journey together. But essentially, this is what we do. This is what we are. I would also say that we're entrepreneurs,
Oh, for sure.
We do have a background in like business, but we'll also get into that. A lot of what we talk about is just gonna be, we're going with like a holistic kind of vibe.
Yeah. I want to add to the entrepreneur thing. I think what makes this so special right now is the fact that we're figuring things out right now. Like we don't necessarily have like a solidified idea as far as like entrepreneurship. We know that's what we want to do. We know that's what we want to be. We just know that for our lifestyles and our interests and all that kind of stuff, that's the route that is for us.
Right.
But right now, I think we're just in that stage where we're figuring it out. So I think this is so beautiful because y'all be figuring it out with us as well. And that it just makes it that much more special.
Right. Right. And then I also think it's important to point out that like we don't necessarily, because like I feel like many of us fall victim to this. Like we always try to just label ourselves as like one thing, or if you feel like you do so many things, you might think that people like are judging you because your hand is in so many things. But like if you really think about it, we're designed to be multi-talented, multifaceted, and because we're exposed to so many things nowadays, it makes sense that you would be good at more than one thing. So another thing we want to highlight is just embracing that. Like embrace the fact that you don't only identify as one thing. Like imagine our parents only being like, I'm a dad or I'm a mom. Like they're more than that, and they were more than that, right, before they became our parents. So if we look at it at that aspect from that perspective, then we can give ourselves that same level of grace. And I think that's something we're gonna get into a lot more like as we go on.
Most definitely.
But what else we getting into this episode?
So yeah, let's talk about why we even here and why we decided to go forth with this podcast. Yeah. So I'm really trying hard not to say ums and oohs because it's just so comfortable, but whatever, let's try.
I'm gonna take a sip.
Please do. So how would we introduce ourselves?
As a podcast?
As a podcast. So like, what is our goal? So I guess we could start by, we're two best friends. We're college. Two best friends. Does that make sense? No, we're best friends.
Right.
Whatever. We're best friends. We met in college playing rugby.
Right.
We can get into that another time, but yes. And we've just found that
a lot of our conversations that we have
with the assist
are conversations that people have difficulty having with other people. And we might often find it as like our internal dialogue, things that you can't always go to everyone to speak about. So we were like, how can we share this with other people who also need that friend, who also need like that reality check, who also need that moment to vent, who also need that moment to just get to the drawing board and sift through ideas without feeling like any idea is dumb.
Because I could be the first one to tell you that sometimes I'll be sitting in my room or anywhere in the shower thinking, like, am I crazy for having these thoughts?
Right.
Like, am I actually the only one who thinks this way? And then you speak to certain people, and then you realize that we're all kind of just going through this in the same way. And so, it's such a blessing to just have a person like yourself who just understands, because I feel like not everybody has someone who just understands, and then that's when all these like doubtful thoughts and I'm other, I'm weird, I'm this, I'm that, but then it's like, wait, so you're weird like me too?
Right.
Oh, okay, so this is normal thinking. Oh, okay. Well, not normal thinking, but just like
this crosses your mind.
It crosses your mind too, and yeah, so like we're definitely gonna be talking about a lot of not so casual conversations, taboos, and just things that we think about.
Yeah. Like things that we think about, things that need to be spoken about, things that are often overlooked, things for elevation, things for like emotional processing, things for growth, things for family, friends, business, like just as we said, like a holistic kind of approach, because sometimes we get into realms of our lives where we're only focusing on one or two aspects. So like sometimes at some points, some people will be like, you know what, I haven't been working out and I haven't worked out in years. I want to get back to this weight, or I want to transform my body into this or something. So at that point, they shift their focus from whatever they were doing before to solely working out. But then while people are working out, sometimes they forget about nutrition. Sometimes they forget about also their mental health, or they forget about spending time with people that they care about. So it's really us just being able to tap into different areas of our lives that all need attention. And it's not to say that they're all going to receive the equal amount of attention, but it's just bringing light onto the fact that they do need it, regardless of how much you're putting. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah. So we actually do have a topic. I know we were just, introducing and all of that, but we have a topic for you guys. Are you ready?
Excited.
And I love this topic, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
And the topic is, drumroll please.
Oh, that was so booty.
Betting on you. Betting on you. So when you hear those words, what comes to mind? Like, what does that mean to you?
So what comes to mind for me when you think the term betting on you, or the phrase betting on you, is taking a leap of faith, going against the grain, going against doubt, going against other people's expectations, and really just believing in your own personal vision. What are your first few thoughts that come to mind?
So when I think of betting on you, I think of you choosing you even when the odds are against you. So you still, like you said, you still keeping that faith, you still pursuing the vision, regardless of what the closest people to you say to you, regardless of the people who you may look up to even say to you, regardless of anything, regardless of your own doubtful thoughts, you still move forward. You move the needle just a little bit every single time. And it's so powerful. It is so powerful when you actually just do bet on yourself. And I think that's something that we work on constantly, all the time. But we know that when we do, there's something at the end of that.
Right.
You know?
You become unstoppable. Because we would believe in other people a lot more than, and a lot faster than we would believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
And so once you beat that odd, it just makes you so much more powerful as a human being. And then the level that you can pour into other people once you believe in yourself is next level.
Like, low-key, nobody could tell you anything.
Literally. And it's not even in a sense of being cocky or...
Oh, not at all.
Right. It's that level of belief.
That's just like, okay, like, I understand. Because we're all growing, you know?
Right.
And when people try to dictate something towards you or say something about, you know, where you're going or your goals, it's really a reflection
of how
they see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If they tell you you can't accomplish that, it's because they feel like they can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they see something that you've done and they see it as a failure,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was a stepping stone or even though it was something that helped you achieve the next goal, that's because if that had happened to them, they would feel like they failed.
Yep.
You know, it's really all perspective, and you need to acknowledge those moments, because say you didn't have that type of mindset, you'll be like, damn, okay, enough people tell you that, you're gonna start to believe it.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? But if you are always just feeding yourself with this kind of information and listening to people who also bet on themselves and say the same things, like, nothing can stop you.
That's a fact.
Nothing can stop you. Like, it's literally insane.
Yeah.
And that's also, I'm gonna be real, like, that's a level I'm trying to reach for real. You know, I do have moments where I'm like, I'm zoned in and literally I don't care what I have to sacrifice, but it's just getting done.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I tap out of that and I'm like, but but you know what I'm saying? And distractions, I think, could come in so many ways. Distractions could be your family. Distractions can be
people you feel are your friends, or they could actually very much be your friends.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of mindset, because it's not, you're not always going to share the same mindset as your friends. And then as you get older and then as you develop into certain areas of your life, you're going to realize you pull more towards other friends than you do ones that you might have before.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But it does help to recognize that, because then you're like, who am I listening to and what am I feeding myself with?
Right.
Because there are people who will literally be like, oh, you can't do that, that's crazy. And then there will people be like, do it.
Right.
That sounds crazy. And it's lit. Like, I feel like I recognized things like that even early on. Like, I know we talk about this all the time because we both studied abroad for a semester. And we didn't know each other at the time.
Oh my goodness.
But we both had similar experiences where, like, before we were going, a lot of people that we were close to were kind of just like, oh, how are you going to do that? That's crazy. Isn't that for like, rich
what?
people?
Are you crazy? Yeah.
Oh, Phil, you're always doing like crazy things. And I was like, okay. And people didn't believe me until I got my plane ticket and I was actually flying out the day of my flight. And then like I was gone.
It'd be like that.
And it's so interesting because, like, I did it, you know? At a time that people didn't even think it was even possible. And now that we think about it, like, can you believe that people don't really still today don't think that kind of thing is possible?
It's nuts. Like, yeah, so we had a very similar experience in that sense, where a lot of people, so I traveled to Brazil. You went to London. I don't know if you said that. I traveled to Brazil and people were like, whoa, Brazil? Like, do you know how dangerous that is? And I'm like, yeah. So is every country. But right. I understand, you know, like that they have like a hype around that. And then even like people closest to me were sending me documentaries and a whole bunch of videos of killings and kidnappings in Brazil, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. And that's a distraction. That is a distraction. Could you imagine if I would have been like, oh my gosh, you know what, like, yeah, you're right. And then, like, you know, like, kidnappings and killings and all these things happen out here everywhere, down the block, you know, like, that's just what it is. And I'm not about to, you know, like, we're not about to travel and then act a fool, right, and be crazy. Like, the same kind of like precautions that we take here, we're gonna take abroad, right? But if not more. And it was just always a dream. So that could have easily been a moment where someone just like stomped on our dreams. Literally,
and like literally we could have accepted that and been like, well, I guess my dream's not gonna happen.
And
Like,
but a lot of people do that. A lot of
Right.
people would be like, damn, I guess you're right. And it's like, what did they do? Like,
right,
how?
right,
How are you listening to people who don't even have the same goals as you, who have not experienced the things that you've experienced, who've grown up in a different time,
right,
who does not have the bank account number that you would want,
Right.
who it's just like, why do we listen to certain people when
Right.
they don't even have what we want?
right. Like, what do we gain?
What do we
Like,
gain?
this is a real life question. What do we gain from listening to people who don't have what we want?
Right.
Like, they have all the doubts that we do. So if we were to go against that and have belief and then at least just try and then fail, at least we had the belief while they had the doubt. Like, it's like the lack versus actually having something. That puts you 10 steps ahead because you then have the experience versus being, I guess, left in the dark and still not knowing what that would have felt like if you actually tried at it. If you actually just were like, you know what, even though it doesn't make sense to you, it makes sense to me, and I got this idea in my head for a reason. Like, nothing comes out of nowhere.
Right.
You don't get inspired off of thin air. Things come from somewhere, and so when we decide to act on it, it puts you 10 steps ahead of people who don't. And there are so many things like that people do and then they get older, or the things that people don't do, they get older and they're like, damn, I wish I did that.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Right?
That literally, like, even down to my parents,
Right.
even down to, I'm like, wow, like, I don't want that. I don't want that. And then I envision, like, I'll think about the things that my parents have told me, like my father being an artist because he's mad talented.
Right.
My mom, volleyball and all these things. And I'm like, imagine if y'all just kept on
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
in that path.
Right.
You know, things would be a little different.
It's true, but then I also, like, that's 100% true, and I agree. And I feel like sometimes I also think about for them, the way that they grew up was like, it was a different time.
It was different. Yeah.
Like, they were in survival mode. They were in hustle. Like, you have to get to this to get to this. Like, things had to make sense to them for them to actually execute it. And for them, like, Caribbeans, you drawing? What is that? Isn't that a hobby?
That's something you
Drawing? Are you
hide.
kidding me? Right. Like,
That's something
are
you
you
hide.
joking right now? You're not gonna be a
Like,
doctor?
do you not have anything to do? Like, let you catch a Caribbean, like, over there in the house drawing. Like, they'll be like, do you have kids to feed?
Right,
Or,
right.
like, what are you doing? You bored?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's just not a thing.
It's crazy.
And it's so sad. It is actually so sad.
It is.
And what's that saying? Like, what's the most expensive or the most... Oh my goodness, this is gonna bug me. What is the richest place? No.
Oh.
What is, like,
Yeah.
what's the...
Okay, I'm not gonna pretend like I remember. But
Oh
I
my
know
gosh.
The idea. The gist
It's
is like the most expensive.
place in the world is a graveyard?
Yeah, because a lot of people with their like.
They've passed away
Deceased.
without being able to fulfill their dreams and their
purpose.
their
Yeah.
$1 million, $1 trillion, $1 billion ideas.
Right.
Like, they're just gone. And go to a nursing home. I've interned at a nursing home, and it breaks my heart how they just talk about all the things they would have, like, that they would have done, the things that they would do differently. That joint will humble you so much. So much. Going to a nursing home, these, like, people who it's just, oh gosh, it's so heartbreaking. But it's a wake up
Right.
call.
Yeah.
Wake up call. It's a wake up call. Like, you'll be like, oh, okay, I hear
Right.
you.
Right.
I hear you.
Right, and I don't want to do that. So I'm
Exactly.
gonna head this way, and then I'm gonna remember you as I'm doing this, so I could pay tribute to you because you inspired me even more.
Right.
Like, I feel like I'm so thankful to my parents too, because again, the inspiration comes from that. Like, they've had to work so hard, like, so hard, and things weren't as easy for them. Like, I'm not saying, like, there's a different level of difficulty for us right now because we're faced with, like, things in the media. We're faced with, like, different types of struggles. But for them, like, they really had to just figure it out. It wasn't like, oh, Google, you know, like, let me just figure. They had to, like, break stuff down and then figure it out.
It was like, what's going to get me to the money quick?
Right.
Because I need to get out of this situation. I need to, you know, I'm coming from third world countries and I'm over here and I'm like, I need a job. Like, I'm here with like 2 pennies in my pockets, or whatever the case was. Like, you know, but I feel like you said, they really be in survival mode.
Right.
They'll be like, okay, well, and then you get so consumed. But that is still relevant to today. Mm-hmm. People get jobs and they get so comfortable with the predictable checks every week, with that form of stability, that they start to neglect the things that they truly have a passion for and what their purpose is, because they're not seeing instant gratification from it. You know, they're like, well, I'll work triple time because that'll get me money to then pursue my passion or pursue but then it doesn't happen because now you're exhausted and you're you just keep wanting money, like, because that becomes addicting in a sense. It's like, oh, okay, I know that every week I'm making a G. I know that every week I'm making $500. Okay, so if I work, let's say 12 months in a row, I'm like, yo, that
ultimately becomes your goal. Like, that's what you're working towards. It's like you're working towards the money, but then what do you end up doing with that money? Just trying to get more money, but then
because saving money is really not gonna
get you to where you want to be.
But that's where, like, betting on yourself comes in,
right?
Because those same people would sacrifice something. They would sacrifice some hours. They might sacrifice a little bit of sleep to then work on what they're truly passionate about, or what they feel that their purpose is after work. But a lot of people are not going to do it.
Right.
A lot of people are not going to do it because they're exhausted, because tomorrow's another start. Tomorrow's the same thing, because I'll just do it tomorrow. That just shows that you're not betting on yourself. That shows, it just shows so much. It's just a lot that goes with that.
Yeah.
But
100%.
Go for it, please.
I was gonna say, I do want to give a quick shout out to my dad, because I feel like that man, like, since I was smaller, like, betting on himself is something that he's always been big on, and he's also encouraged me to always do the same. And there's just always little things that he would say, like, I mean, like, both of my parents, but like, for this particular instance, like, there are things that my dad would say that would just go with this instance, like certain levels of respect, certain things that you should personally demand out of just out of respect for yourself and respect for your purpose, that should just continuously push you. And so I only say this just because we're, like, talking about how much they had to fight and, like, struggle and, like, do all these things. But, like, that man, like, because we're on the topic of betting on yourself, like, I just want to shout him out, because he really has done that and has not stopped. And it's always been super, 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 like, inspiring to see, because there are moments where I would be doubtful and he would be like, try it.
Yeah,
like,
he does keep that energy.
Yeah, he'll be like, I mean, try it, and if it doesn't work, then you do it again, or try it a different way, like, flip it upside down. And I think it's so important. And my mom has also been, like, very encouraging, like, she will be like, don't, like, there are moments where even in grad school, like, I was like, I don't want to do this. Undergrad, I literally almost dropped out of the honors college, and that woman was like, I am not, like, you're not doing it. And she would, like, be like, I'm coming to campus, I'm gonna come to campus,
I'm coming to rescue you, my daughter.
Right? And if you need me to sit next to you while you write a paper,
she would, though.
Right,
that lady would,
like, I'm like, yo, the level of love that comes from these people. Shout out to the people who don't have the support, or I guess, yeah, the support from some of their closest people to just be able to execute, because when we don't have that, like, we have our doubt.
Oh yeah.
And like sometimes, I was even telling you the other day, like sometimes if I didn't have you like as one of my best friends, it would be so difficult to like snap out of certain things sometimes. And I have very specific friends that, again, shout out to you guys, that will be like, Phil, are you crazy? Like, do you know who you are?
Yeah.
Type thing. And betting on yourself also comes with building that community. It comes with like just putting yourself in the right environment and filling yourself with love.
Right. And if you find that you don't have those sorts of people around you, well, we hope to be that for you. We hope you tune in
100.
and yeah, join us. Forget it. Like, I'll tell you to bet on yourself. Because you need to. There's one more comment that I wanted to make, that I wanted to address as far as betting on yourself goes. And it's the idea of not going as hard can show that you lack belief. Right? Because what if you thought that whatever you pursue, whatever your goal is, you will achieve? Like, guarantee. Like, 100% guarantee you're going to achieve it. Would you go for it? Like, would you go hard? If I told you that if you do one thing that's gonna help you in achieving your goal today, that tomorrow you'll achieve that goal. You'll achieve that you, not euphoric. What's the word? The what do you call it? Like a paradise, like your ideal.
Okay. I don't know. I think you're painting the picture though. Oh. It's gonna bug you to get the word.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, your ideal life, or would you do it? Would you go hard? If I told you record a YouTube video for your channel because that's something that you've been wanting to do, and tomorrow I'll give you $1 million, would you do it? Right. Or not even that, not even me giving you $1 million. You record one video and tomorrow you'll have 1 million followers, like 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Would you do it? Or would you be like, no, it's okay? Like, because at that point, then
you really don't want it.
There are other deeply rooted like issues that we have to deal with, because
we don't have to talk about that,
because that doesn't make any sense. Right. So like, what if you always had that energy? And it's one of those things that it's a lot easier said, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just like, just do it. You know, something that I feel like and I don't want to get too much out of topic, but that we try to work on, or that I know I need work on, is patience. I do one thing and I'm like, all right, so where's the results? Right. So how are we?
One day in the gym and like,
she's like, wait, let me see. Let me check the ab. Cinched and
well, I guess I don't need to go tomorrow.
I guess I don't need to go tomorrow. But seriously, you know?
Right. No, it's true. It's true. It comes out in so many ways that you need to work on your patience. Like, not you, but I'm saying like in general. Because personally, I think you're one of the most patient people I know, in so many ways. And I feel like I try to learn to be as patient. I think from the outside world, like, other people will see me as patient. But for me, when I know the like deepest rooted things, and I'm like, oh, I need to really do better with that, because some things really be triggering. Yeah. And it's like, it is very difficult to like just slow down that thought process, because when you're working on things for yourself, like I don't think I've ever actually like spoken about this, but when I first started my brand before, and I was like selling my shirts that I like designed and everything, because I wasn't getting the results fast enough, I was like, this isn't working. Like, this is not for me. People don't like my stuff. Like, and the only person that I was really telling that to was Jen. And she was like, are you crazy? Do you know that you could push this? Like, it hasn't even been out long enough. And I'm like, nah, it's not biting. Like, it's not moving. Like, I need to do something better. I need to stop it and revamp. And I literally stopped it. Yeah. And I stopped it because, one, I was impatient. And then two, I also wasn't, able to put in the amount of love and time into it that I needed to be doing. So like as we said before, betting on yourself also, like the equation, you need a lot of self-love.
Oh yeah.
And like again, those people around you that like when you're failing to give yourself that, if they can kind of make up for it a little bit, like it makes a big difference. Because now I'm able to identify, like, one of the problems was I wasn't loving on myself enough. I wasn't loving on the process enough. I wasn't being patient. And like I had to be able to self-reflect to be able to do that.
Yeah. And it's also, how long can you stand the test of time? Like, tomorrow could be the day. You know that quote that's like, why would I quit if tomorrow could be the day? Why? Like, you just never know. And these are this is the groundwork. Like, this is the foundation. You don't want to skip this. You don't want to shortcut this moment where you have a good day, then you have a bad day. You have a better day than then you go back. You have, multiple days where you feel like, yo, I'm on top of the world.
Right.
And then you kind of retract a little bit. That is all a part of it. And the more we become comfortable with that, the more that we fail, because we're going to get into that word fail at a later time.
Yeah.
But like the more that we fail, the more like failure is feedback. Failure is you being like, okay, that didn't work. Let me not do that.
Right.
Failure brings you closer to the answers that you need.
Right.
Failure
It's
literally
learning.
is a blessing.
Right.
Like,
it's a learning experience.
and the more you fail, like the closer you are. So people are so afraid of failure. And I'm also speaking for myself. Like, this is something that I've become so passionate about because the joint is scary. Like, when you are uncomfortable with it, when you haven't spent enough time with failure, when you haven't really looked failure in the face enough times, you'd be like, I'm gonna stay away from that because that seems very intimidating until you consistently fail. And now you're like, oh, I love this, I like this, like, try me, like, what's up, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of level we're trying to be on.
That's a fact.
Because once you get so comfortable with failure, and there's no I don't know, and like fear, there's just no such thing. Like, I don't know. We could get into this,
False evidence appearing real.
Yes. Like, it's not a thing. And I'm speaking passionately to y'all because I'm speaking to myself.
Right.
This is not me talking to you guys. Well, at you guys. I'm literally like, I know these are conversations that we have. And yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. We could talk on betting on you forever.
Right. Honestly, damn, I forgot what I was just about to say.
That's perfect.
Throw it out.
That's perfect. Just bet on you and it'll come to you.
Oh, thanks, Jen. Okay, so I actually remember what I was gonna say. What I was going to say was that the brain's natural reaction to anything that we're not used to is to react in a defensive way. And so fear is one of those things. When things are not predictable, when things are not straightforward, obvious, we reject it. And so I guess what we want to do is challenge everyone that's listening right now to try to go against that. If something's making you uncomfortable, obviously, like, with reason, something's making you uncomfortable, knocking you out of your comfort zone, and it's something that's going to put you in position that will be closer to where you want to be. Try it at least once, and if you survive after the first time, you could probably do it again, and again and again. Because
did you die? But did you die? Like,
it's the $1 million question.
Like, that's the thing. Did you die though?
Right.
What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
And you know what? Oh, I'm telling you, we could literally talk about this forever. The thing is that we fear certain things. Did you finish your thought, by the way? No, go for it. Just finish it.
I think I did.
No.
It's not going back there.
No, finish.
No, my brain's not going.
No, I promise.
Back.
Finish.
It doesn't work in reverse.
Okay, fine, cool. That's good. The things that we fear, like, we just come up with ourselves. Because I know, like, for example, there are a lot of people who fear judgment of others. But a lot of the times, other people are not even judging you because they have their own insecurities, they have their own kind of fears, or maybe they're judging you but it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the reflection of them.
Projection is real.
Literally them projecting. So when you see that, because it's like, oh my goodness, how can you hate on someone who's grinding? How can you hate on someone who's trying?
But the thing is that people can, and then that's all the more reason for you to not feed into that, because
exactly, it just shows.
What are you doing? Like
it just doesn't make any sense. It just really doesn't add. The math isn't mathing, you know. Like
never.
You see somebody working something from the ground up, grinding every day, trying, show their face on Instagram, whatever it is, and you're like, ha, like,
yeah, and
it just doesn't make sense.
You're watching them.
You're right. You're literally probably in bed like this, like
giving them
with your phone, right?
So thanks for the support, I guess.
It's so weird. It is so weird, but you just gotta pray for those kind of people, and well, everyone, but pray for them because they're trying to get out of something. They're trying to avoid. They're running from themselves half the time. They're probably like, ugh, I wish I could do that internally, but it's not coming out that way.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So yeah, just do it. Just go. Like Nike said, just do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Okay. The accent. Hard eyes.
All right, guys. I think we've talked enough.
I think so too. So what we want to do today is our first episode. We want to leave you guys. I mean, every episode we're gonna do this. It's obviously gonna vary. And we're gonna hit you guys with some extra sauce on the episodes to come. But what we want to leave you guys with today on our very first. So let's take a sip and then leave them with a message. For those of you who like ASMR, you're welcome. For those of you who do not,
we're sorry.
Because I am the one who does not. But
what do you think? I like ASMR.
Don't you?
No, I like mukbangs, not ASMR.
Yeah, but when people are on mukbangs, they're like...
Yeah, but it's not intentionally, because let's close this out.
Yes.
So our message to you is...
to bet on you.
Bet on you.
Receive that challenge.
Yes.
Anything that you need to do to put yourself, even if it's one step closer to where you want to be, sign up for the gym, if that's it.
Take a class. Whatever it is.
A page, a paragraph, something if you want to get back into reading. Whatever it is you need to do, whatever it is you've been wanting to do, do it.
Do it. And comment below and leave us, a message if you guys feel inspired by this, or if you did something to take that first step. Like, we'd love to know, and we'd love to interact and connect with you guys, and so that other people can also see that people are taking action. If you have any like fears or doubts, express them. Like, let's talk about it. That's what we're here for.
Let's hash it out.
So yeah, peace, guys.
Cool. This is the Message to You podcast.
Peace.